Hello and welcome to another edition of The Stew with JT Brew. I'm your host, Justin Taylor. Thanks for joining us. It's week 2 NFL season right in front of us. We are going to talk about our favorite over-under plays, favorite picks, player props, all that good stuff. Stick with us. You're in The Stew.
You up on trades and why you move, you ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release, we started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so start an institute, make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sipping through sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stew with JT Brew.
Hello and thanks for joining us again on The Stew with JT Brew. I've got my guy Chris Robin at Detroit Bestie on here for the Fantasy Six Pack. He's going to help me out as we go through some of this stuff, figure out what games we like, what we don't, what DFS plays you need to be making. And to start things coming off as we get going here, let's jump into the Thursday night game. We got Minnesota, Philadelphia, currently sitting at -6 Eagles, over under 48.5. I know you've been kind of working. You ran an article on this earlier. If you haven't seen it on X, jump on Detroit Pesty, check it out, and check out his video that he ran on this. But kind of tell me some of your plays you like tonight.
Well, first of all, I should split right away. You keep calling me Detroit Bestie. It's Beastie is my cat.
Beastie, sorry.
As in Beast.
Detroit Bestie, I would.
Detroit Bestie, I would have already.
You are my Detroit Bestie, but you're a Detroit Beastie. Thank you very much. As I automatically slip right off the bat.
It's all good. Yeah, when we look at tonight's game, it is going to be interesting, but not as interesting as last week. My Lions beat Kansas City in Arrowhead. That was something of in itself. I was awake until 2 a.m, something like that. But when we look at this game overhaul, I could talk about this. I did talk about it for 20 minutes over at Fantasy Six Pack, but Minnesota at Philly, the over-under is at around 49 points right now. I like every bit of this over in this one. I have Philly. I guess I don't have to bury the lead. I do have Philadelphia winning this one. So watch Minnesota going 0-2 here. But I have Philly hanging 31 points in this one against 24 by Minnesota. So I'm going to bet the over, and I'm going to take Philadelphia minus the 6 points here. And how we get there is what I'd like to discuss too. But I'm pretty sure we know how we're going to get there, right? With Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown and all these guys. So, I mean, I do have a game plan for this game.
Yeah, I love it. I agree with 100%. I'm taking the Eagles, the -6. I'm taking the over in this game. A lot of games have gone under recently with the Eagles, but this feels like a firepower game. It feels like both teams throwing the ball around. I've got my crazy JT parlay Hail Mary. I'm going to read it off real quick, but go to my Twitter page at JT Orange if you want to see all my picks on this. Feel free to split this up. This is a crazy 9-teamer, that 9-pick parlay I'm putting in. Feel free to break it into 3-4s at a time, but I'm loving Devontae Smith anytime touchdown. I got Jordan Addison anytime touchdown thrown into this. I actually took the Eagles down to the -1.5 in here. I think they win by the 6, but I'm clearing that they get a field goal in case. I think Jalen Hurts bounces back. I got him at over 224.5 passing yards. So I got him bouncing back there. AJ Brown with Devontae Smith. AJ over the 69.5 yards. Devontae 59.5. I got them both going over there to kind of go with my Jalen Hurts over passing yards. Jordan Addison, you can get him in the same game parlay on DraftKings at 34.5 as an adjusted yardage. So I love that. I'm getting him at 34.5. I feel like that's a slam. I think he's going over that for sure. And you can actually get Justin Jefferson down a little bit from the regular game. You can get him at 89.5. I'm putting him at 89.5. And I'm taking the Eagles over 2.5 touchdowns. You said you had them for 31 points. I got them going over 2.5 touchdowns. You could pile all that together, and it is plus 3,500. Plus 3,500. I love it. I'm throwing 30 on it to win 1,080 on DraftKings. But hey, like I said, that's my crazy 9-teamer. I always love to throw out one Hail Mary of the week. But if you like some of those picks, take a few of them, two, three, four together, and maybe split it up if you don't want to get as crazy high odds as I just did.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have one as well. It's 8 teams, and it's from my friend. His name is Michael, actually, but people know him as Fantasy Stoner. There's no in between with him. Some people, you either love him or you hate him. There's no in between, and he's one of my good friends. He pisses a lot of people off, but I find him to be a very respectable stand-up guy. And along with these notes, which I will share sooner or later, probably like 30, 40 minutes before kickoff, I'll share my DFS notes, and I compile it with what I have here. And the first one is Devonta Smith over 5.5 receptions. That's a slam dunk. I mentioned in the video where there's certain when we saw them play on Sunday, where Jalen Hurts gives a complete a drive just to Devonta Smith. Then the next drive is just to AJ Brown. So as they start to figure this thing out, in terms of everybody, not just Philadelphia, it's going to be a little bit more, how would you put it, more, a little bit more ballet-ish, but instead of just one drive to this guy, one drive to that guy. But give me Devonta Smith over 5.5 receptions, AJ Brown over 5.5 receptions, Justin Jefferson over 6.5 receptions, TJ Hawk, all love here in Detroit for TJ Hawk. He gets paid back in Minnesota over 4.5 receptions. TJ Hawkinson, 40 plus yards. When I look at my notes here, I have TJ Hawkinson, 8-9 targets, 6-7 receptions, 65 to 70 yards. So you're telling me I can get I can bet 40 plus. I would actually double that. I would put TJ Hawkinson around 75 total yards. Jalen Hurts, 40 plus rushing yards. Realistically, I have Jalen Hurts for around 9 to 10 carries, scrambles, however you want to put it, for about 60 yards. So Jalen Hurts 40 plus is a slam dunk. Give me Jalen Hurts one or more passing touchdowns. Absolutely. I have him around 2 minimum, at least. If they're going to score 31 points, Jalen Hurts is going to be accountable for most of them, if not all of them. And then the last one is just another slam dunk. Boring old Michigan State guy, Kirk Cousins, 1+ passing touchdown. I have Kirk 27, 28 completions. I have Kirk. You'll be shocked here. I have Kirk Cousins well over 300 yards passing this evening and 2 touchdowns in this one. So give me the +1 touchdown. And again, that one is, what did I say it was? 8 legs, something like that. That comes out to plus 2, 9, so 2, 9, 10, something like that. So $10 is going to net you $301. And again, just like JT said, Mr. Stu, you can, mix and match, split it up if you want to, or if you got the stones like we do, play it all in one parlay. That's the fun of it.
Something to remember here, some injuries in the Eagles secondary. So I think the Vikings are going to throw the ball around here a lot. Like you said, I think Kirk Cousins comes out. I think he throws the ball. I think Addison and Jefferson, we learned something last week. I couldn't believe the Patriots, passed as much as they did against the Eagles. So I think, like you said, I love in all those, some of these safeties hurt that just helps out TJ Hawkinson. I mean,
James
this guy's going to have to cover
James
him.
Bradbury is inactive.
Bradbury's hurt. Yeah, so he's out. So, going to have to play some young guys in that secondary for the Eagles. Should open things up a little bit for the Vikings. So I love that one. Make sure you guys get on and check out his parlay as well as mine on the X. Let's get into some other games we actually like after the Thursday night game. There's a few games out there. Some stuff I'm not really jumping in. I'll run through them, see if there's anything you love about them. Bears, Bucks, -2.5 for the Bucks, over under 40.5. Falcons, Packers are -1.5 for the Packers. That over under is 40. Bengals, Ravens, 3.5, over under 46.5. Jags, Chiefs, 3.5 there for them, over under 51. Giants, Cardinals, Giants 7.5 after that big loss to the Cowboys, 44.5. Cowboys, Jets are -9. Everybody's on the Cowboys with the Aaron Rodgers injury. That one's -9, but the over-under's 38.5 in what should be a defensive battle. Broncos, Commanders, 3.5, over-under 39. And then Dolphins, Patriots, -3, over-under 46.5. Any of those games stand out to you as something you really like, either the line, the over-under, or a player prop that you think is really great in any of those games?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back a little bit, and I'm gonna go to Kansas City and Jacksonville real quick because again, when we look at Kansas City, they are I mean, one loss, the week one loss doesn't make or break your season, right? And they're still, in my eyes, until the next Super Bowl is crowned, champion is crowned, they're still the defending champions. And I would imagine, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are going to be pissed. And Jacksonville, granted at home, they did make the playoffs last year, and Trevor Lawrence, and things are buzzing down in Jacksonville. I think, when you look at this one, Kansas City is going to be just absolutely pissed off. And I think they steamroll Jacksonville. And again, I like Jacksonville as a whole, right? As a Lions fan, we tend to root for other kind of loserish organizations like the Jets or like the Browns or things like that. But unfortunately, I think Kansas City is going to just go into Jacksonville and beat the living daylights out of the Jags. And again, that's not anything that's cookie cutter kind of stuff. Anybody on earth could and would say that. But you asked me what stuck out at first glance, that
Mhm.
would be what stuck out. My second game would be Chicago goes to Tampa Bay, and if you didn't pay attention, Chicago got embarrassed their week one against Green Bay, and for some odd reason, just a little bit of personal business. For some odd reason, Chicago Bears fans on Twitter all spring and summer were just talking and talking and talking, and Justin Fields is this and Justin Fields is that. And even after Jordan Love and the pack dismantled them, made them look silly, made them look stupid, Chicago Bear fans still aren't willing to take the, okay, maybe we screwed up, maybe we got ahead of ourselves, maybe we're a year or two behind. They're doubling down on this, and you know what? It's going to be, I don't even know what it's going to be like on Sunday when they lose in Tampa Bay to Baker Mayfield, the tweets and everything that happens, because again, I think Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield really hang one on him again. Because when you look at Justin Fields, still a young kid, still trying to find his footing and development, and people keep calling him, is he a running back? Is he a quarterback? He threw another interception last week in Green Bay. I think Tampa Bay, when you look at this one, over-unders at 41, excuse me. I'm talking so fast, I'm losing my breath. The over-under is 41. And as it stands right now, Chicago is getting 2.5 points. I would take Tampa Bay, -6, -7. I think Tampa Bay really does the number on them with the Baker Mayfield led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in that game, I think we're looking at a Chris Godwin game, right? I know Mike Evans, he was looking for a long-term extension. He wants to stay there. And Mike Evans did score last week. And if we've watched football long enough to know how the ebbs and flows of this thing go, and I think we're going to see a big Chris Godwin game. So any props you can get, probably over, I would guess over 40 yards. I would take that. I would take him an anytime touchdown. I would take Rashad White with a reception touchdown. And so to be fair, that would then lend Baker Mayfield throwing 2 touchdowns, one to Rashad White, one to Mike Evans. And I think Tampa Bay runs away with this one early. So like late in the third quarter, it's going to be a snoozer to me.
Yeah, I'm from Illinois. All my friends are Bears fans. The everybody's about ready to hit the alarm. Like it's like the big loss to the Packers to start the season. Everybody thought that was going to be the game, and now it's like, oh no, we're in trouble. I've been saying it all summer. The Packers had the best defense in that division. If teams can score on them, that's how it's going to make the difference. And then the offense actually looked pretty good. So now it's like, all right, maybe the Packers aren't completely out of it because they've got a really good defense.
Yeah.
The
And
Bears
Love looks
playing a
good.
lot of yeah.
And to be fair, I have no ill will towards Chicago, the city, the team, the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, or any Chicago Bears fans. But there's got to come a point where you have some goddamn humility, and that's all you needed to do, right? Is take some humility. They were shooting for the stars and the moon and MVP, Justin Fields MVP, and they're still not humbled. Even after losing in Green Bay, they're still talking their crap crap. And again, it's nothing personal. I promise you, it's nothing personal. Yes, I am a Lions fan, so you would think it's personal. It's not. But at a certain point, if and when they lose in Tampa Bay, they're going. If that doesn't humble them, then nothing will save them, because I don't know. It's going to be full blown panic pandemonium for Chicago Bears fans if they lose to Baker Mayfield down in Raymond James Stadium, if that's what they're still calling it.
Yeah, I agree with you. If the Bears lose this one, I mean, it's absolute panic mode. It's panic mode. You've lost these two games early on. The Bears are in absolute trouble at that point. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. But I'm leaning the Bucks just like you. I'm leaning the Bucks in this game. All these other games, the one that's interesting to me is Cowboys Jets. Obviously, Cowboys get 9 because they absolutely murdered the Giants. I mean, I can't believe they still have a team after that just thrashing. But it's -9. No Aaron Rodgers for the Jets. The over under the lowest of the week at 38, 30.5. You know, these are two really good defensive teams. So now the question for me becomes, usually I'd be like under, under, under. But now I'm worried about turnovers. I'm worried about these defenses dominant so much. They get so many takeaways that they end up getting a bunch of points off of the defenses. Any thoughts for you on that Jets Cowboys game?
Yeah, excuse me. Dallas is going to make life an absolute living hell for Zach Wilson, right? We thought, we were going to have Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, and maybe that would, 1 or 2 seasons of Aaron Rodgers in New York, maybe they would have won a Super Bowl or a deep playoff run. This kid would learn and finally develop into that blue chip prospect that they drafted him to be out of BYU, and it wouldn't be such a in your face kind of bust. But now he's thrusted back into the limelight, and he's got to produce quickly. And most people are thinking, me personally, well, did he have enough time with Rodgers in the spring and the summer, or did they just toss him aside, go, we'll get to you when we get to you because we got A-Rod now? So it's sink or swim for him, and I think they're going to make his life a living hell. And when you look at this Dallas Cowboys defense, it's shockingly good, right? And the way they punch out the football, the way they ball hawk. And let's not forget Micah Parsons. I mean, this guy is he's an ogre, right? He's a like ogre, not in the sense of like, those movies we see, the King of the Stones, or what's it, King of the Lord of the Flies, anything like that. But Micah Parsons is a monster. He's a madman. They're constantly moving him around. Is he a linebacker? He put on weight to become a defensive end, defensive tackle. They're lining him up all over the place, and Zach Wilson will just fold under that pressure. So I'm with you. I can see like several turnovers. And when I say several, I'm thinking around 3, maybe even 4 turnovers in Dallas's favor. Takeaways, whether they're interceptions, fumbles, they just grab the ball right out of Zach Wilson's hand, however you want to put it. But to me, the only bummer in this game and the loss of Aaron Rodgers is that now it stifles the development of Garrett Wilson, who was supposed to be this all-world talent, and he still can be. But this game is going to be absolutely, it's gonna be so tough watching this game if you're a Zach Wilson guy, if you're a Jets fan. They made Daniel Jones isn't like, the greatest quarterback on earth, but he's not the worst. I actually like Daniel Jones, and the way they schemed up their defense, Dallas did on Monday night. They made the Giants and Dabble look, it was awful. You said it, before you threw it to me here. So to me, Zach Wilson is going the game of this. He's going to have to play the game of his life, or he's going to lose his life. It's one of the two, because Dallas is going to just steamroll this guy.
I agree with you. So let's get to some of my favorite picks of the week. A couple games that I'm personally going to be putting some money on and wagering on. One of the ones I like now, there's a question whether Austin Eckler plays for the Chargers. That crazy game with the Dolphins. They're at the Titans -3, over under is 45. I've been talking up the Chargers all off season. I like this team a ton. I think the defense is better. I think the offense is going to be much improved. If you're the Chargers and you're going to contend this year, if you're going to keep pace with the Chiefs, this is a must-win game. You cannot lose to the Titans. You absolutely cannot lose this game if you're going to make the playoffs and you're going to be in the mix in the AFC. So to me, I'm hammering the Chargers -3 in this game. ugly, ugly game. The defense looked good for the Titans last week against the Saints, but man, if you're the Chargers, you got to come out, Austin Eckler or not, you got to hammer this Titans secondary, and you got to put these guys away. I'm all in on the Chargers on this one.
Yeah, that's a good call. I had it written down in my on my cheat sheet here. That is a great game, and Justin Herbert, he's we know what he can bring to the table and what he's going to do. And again, like you said, you can't lose to Tennessee, even though they still have Derrick Henry. But Ryan Tannehill, every time I've seen Ryan Tannehill, especially in Week 1, he's sitting next to this Traylon Burks, who was supposed to be up in the caliber of Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Drake London. And don't get me started on Drake London, even though I love that Green Bay Packers game. But to me, it's got to be the Chargers all day. And I'm not in, you're looking at the point spreads, right? You said I'm looking at Tennessee +3, Chargers -3, over-unders at around 45 or so there. I think the Chargers need to win by double digits, and keep this thing rolling. And if Austin Eckler is unable to play, and that's okay, maybe they say, you know what, take this week off, not as a F Tennessee, we don't need Eckler to beat you anyways, but just take the week because it's still so early in the season, kind of like Kansas City did with Travis Kelce the first week of the season. And to be fair, if that's going to be the case, I'm all over Joshua Kelly in DFS formats, in betting circles. I'm taking overs. And when you look at Joshua Kelly right now on FanDuel, he's only $6,300. And if he's going to be your lead back here this week, he's going to be in my top 5 running backs player pool. So for DFS purposes, watch out for Joshua Kelly. I don't know him personally. I don't know if I'm allowed to call him Josh, but Joshua Kelly would be the biggest benefactor in this game if Austin Eckler is out. So we're going to have the Chargers just throwing the football, right? And Joshua Kelly can catch passes. So give me all the Kelly I can handle in big GPPs here this coming week.
Yeah, I love that. Another team I feel like is kind of not completely in the same boat, but the Bills with that really tough loss to the Jets, they've got the Raiders. This feels like a Bills bounce back. The Raiders, I couldn't believe they won that game against Denver. It was ugly as could be, but they snuck it out. The one guy, Jacoby Myers, was kind of the highlight of that game. Now it's questionable whether he's going to play as he got banged up in that game. It's -8.5 right now. I'm taking the Bills all day. This should be a double-digit win. The Bills should absolutely smoke the Raiders. They've got to come back. Josh Allen has got to be pissed after that performance and kind of all the turnovers. I think he comes out and rocks it. I'm all over the Bills.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm seeing Buffalo -8.5, over unders at around 47 or so. Jimmy Garoppolo is your quarterback. He's bounced around as the GQ man of the hour, however you want to do. Can you get it done on the football field? The one thing that people aren't going to say is let's not overlook Josh Jacobs. Buffalo can blow Las Vegas out. They can blow the doors off of them, but I still like Josh Jacobs. And not only in seasonal formats, you got to play him. You probably drafted him in the first or the second round, but in DFS circles, you're like, well, Josh Jacobs, in comparison to the other guys, he's a modest $7,500. But the DVP right now, Buffalo 27th overall against opposing running backs, and Josh Jacobs got paid. We know what kind of guy he is. He's kind of an in-your-face, F you kind of guy. Do this for me and my family. I don't care about all of you. He runs angry. I love that about a guy, kind of like, Derrick Henry does. So Buffalo can win by 1,000,000 points. I'm still going to look at Josh Jacobs in my DFS lines and in some over-under props. I think he does find the end zone. Hell, I think Josh Jacobs could find the end zone twice in this one, once in the air, once on the ground. In garbage time. I hate that term. I hate using that term, garbage time, because it's all time is time. If you're on the football field and it's ticking and ticking, it doesn't matter to me. I do like Buffalo to win. I'm with you 100%, but don't look past Josh Jacobs. Don't sweep him under the rug just because Buffalo's gonna, hang 50 points on them. Josh Jacobs will get his, and he could be a sneaky play, as I said, just based on the mid-tier price tag, but the DVP really speaks to me. The Buffalo right now, not all that good against defending opposing running backs, and Josh Jacobs is one of the better ones in all of football.
I love that call. I'm playing Josh Jacobs everywhere. I think you're right. I think he's going to get his touches. The Raiders cannot just completely abandon him. Even if they get down, they're going to have to run the rock to try to even stay in this game at all. So I absolutely love that call by you on Josh Jacobs. I think for sure you got to play him. And like you said, DFS, I love that call on DFS. Let's jump into your Lions. This feels like an old school classic trap game where the Lions got the big win last week. Now they got the Seahawks coming in. That Seahawks, looked terrible last. I mean, everybody was like, I cannot believe they just got worked by the Rams. It's 4.5 right now. Over under is 47. This feels like a Lions game they should win. But again, now I'm real nervous. I'm real nervous as an outsider that the Lions, that this is going to be some kind of regression game like we've seen in the past. What do you think?
And that's okay. You're allowed to think that way, and that's fine. You're allowed to think that way, but that's like old era, that same old Lions bullshit that we've been fed here, at least me here in Detroit over the years. But this is not even there isn't even the littlest sprinkle or semblance of any of that old crap from all the eras that came and went. And we have plucked the positive stuff. Barry's still around, Calvin's still around, but all that nonsense with Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn and all that bull crap, all that stuff is gone. And it was funny, you say it's a trap game, sure, that the old Lions, but to me personally, and I'm not even saying this from a place of homerism, I'm saying this just as a professional DFS player, a sports gambler, a handicapper. However, the Lions Ford Field is going to be it's going to be insane. It's a dome, and the tickets are going, you can't even find a ticket, right? Standing room only. People would pay to just sit in the bathroom in Ford Field just to be here. That's how excited they are. And guess what? The players are taking that on with them. And it started a long time ago with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and their new GM. And how many teams, this has probably happened before, right? But on Thursday in Kansas City, most of the time you get a cut shot of the GM and he's in the owner's box like this, just even if they win, they're just like slapping hands. Brad was on the flipping sideline in his suit, just high-fiving people. I mean, so trap game to me, that's not even on my radar. And when you look at what Seattle right now, I haven't checked as of late, but they lost both of their starting tackles in week 1. And I'm not sure they're going to be 100% coming into this game. And that's scary. I'm realistically scared for Seattle and Geno Smith. So much so, I've mentioned Drew Lock in my DFS article. What are the chances? Because when we looked at what the Lions did, when we look at what the Lions did at their pass rush, especially Aiden Hutchinson, he didn't sack Patrick Mahomes, but he pressured them, and that guy was lining up off sides all game. But all that nonsense aside, if Seattle's lost their two best starting tackles, it's going to be curtains for Geno Smith and this entire offensive line, because this Lions defense I'm not even speaking of the secondary and Brian Branch and CJ Gardner-Johnson and the way they line these guys up. I'm just talking about this defensive line, because if I know one thing about this team, Brad and Dan have assembled it from the trenches and then worked their way out. Seattle is in for a long effing game here in this one. There's going to be no traps to be had. The Lions are going to just steamroll Seattle. And again, not from a place of homerism, just from what I've seen in summer camps and from Thursday and just overall here, Seattle's in trouble here. They can only do so much, right? And Kenneth Walker III is a local kid. He played at Michigan State here. I think he transferred and went to Michigan State. But look at this thing: DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, even the rookie Jackson Smith. I mean, I love these kids. I like these guys. They can do some damage, and maybe I'm not saying Detroit's going to win 75-0, but the pass rush and the defensive line and the pressure they're going to put on Geno Smith is going to be unbelievable. And I'm not sure if you heard the clip where after both tackles were gone, they full blitz Geno, and you could hear him go, "Oh God," as he got rid of the pass really quick. So if they get to Geno Smith early and often and make him pressure him. He's going to make some bad throws, bad decisions. We have the guys in the backfield that can make you pay. They can ball hawk. They can. So to me, this is exciting as a Lion. Now I'm going to take off the analyst hat and go back to Detroit Lions fans. I think the Lions win this one. They hang 30 plus points. I mean, they're projected to score 25.8, something like that, 26 points, something like that. And I think we're looking at like a 31-21 final. So like by 10 points. So I realistically, you could tease the Lions -8, -8.5. And I still think we would be good in there.
I'm glad you said that because, again, I was talking trap game. This is the old feelings coming up inside where I really wanted to take the Lions in this game because I felt like this should be a Lions win. You convinced me. I love it. I'm taking the Lions. And that made me think about it after you said that. I am searching, as soon as we get off here, Aiden Hutchinson prop sacks.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think he absolutely has a monster game. I
James
love the fact
Houston
you brought up
too.
Drew Lock. Yeah, James Houston. Yep. I'm a Missouri guy. Drew Lock's my guy from back in the day. Would love to see him get some PT.
And I'm
want to
not
see him get killed by the Lions defense. But man, the Lions defense looked awesome though.
Yeah, and I want to clarify that too. I'm not wishing any ill will on Geno Smith, but I think there's going to be a point that comes in this game where Pete Carroll says, you know what, that we have, this is only week 2. We got better days ahead. Let's get Drew Lock some reps, in the fourth quarter or something, because the Lions they're a machine, and that's a product of the coaching staff. That's a product of their environment, and they just do not quit, man. Aiden doesn't quit. I mean, they can rotate guys in and out all day, and it's going to be bad news for Seattle.
So one of the last we'll get through the last couple games here and then some of our favorite prop bets of the day. I'm loving the Saints -3 against the Panthers on Monday night. The Saints defense looked just dominant against Tennessee. I think the offense is going to get better. I've talked endlessly about my worries about the Panthers as the season got closer and closer. And I think a lot of those worries came to fruition in week 1. They did not look very good. The defense has kind of tricked Bryce Young into some back throws. Jesse Bates just made some great plays. But I think this is -3. I'm loving the Saints in this game just because I think they win out on defense, and I think they do enough on offense to get this thing done. What are your thoughts on the Saints-Panthers game?
Yeah, I'm with you. You know what? Like we all got our own weird quips and stuff like that. And I look, for some odd reason, I look at Carolina and Houston kind of the same way, right? They both have first round quarterbacks that are now starting. It just so happens Bryce Young is Carolina's quarterback now. He's smaller than we would like to have thought. We've seen pictures of him wearing, pumps or whatever behind the scenes. But again, they have Miles Sanders and Mingo and Adam Thielen still around. DJ Shark, Hayden Hurst is just a great dude. I love Hayden Hurst. I always want to see Carolina be successful, but right now, New Orleans is, every once in a while, New Orleans is never really out. And I'm not even talking about on a per game basis. I'm talking about seasonal to seasonal. They're always, I would, to be fair, I would anoint New Orleans America's team rather than Dallas. To call me crazy, but if you just do the man on the street game where you put a microphone in someone's face and go, hey, what's your like, I think New Orleans should be the new America's team because they're just fun. I mean, the city of New Orleans is fun, and what they do is fun. And Rashid Shaheed kid is going to be phenomenal. Anything you can get on him. I remember way back last year, I mentioned this kid, Rashid Shaheed, in bottom of the barrel, and he caught a 75-yard touchdown pass, and everyone was like, holy smokes, do you have a crystal ball? I was like, no, it was my own Hail Mary that happened to work out, and it made me look well. And look what happened in week 1. They're throwing him, reverse passes and screens and all that that stuff. So to me, New Orleans, led by Derek Carr, who by all intents and purposes has kind of been a boring quarterback, his NFL career, just like Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's only fitting the two were just swapped and we move on. But when we look at the DVP, defense versus player, where you can really hit Carolina hard is in the running game. And Jamal Williams, I know him very well from his Detroit days. Is a bummer of a contract, and the agent didn't call and whatever. But they're 25th. Carolina's 25th overall against defending opposing running backs. And I know if I'm pulling this off the top of my head, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I will be. Jamal Williams had like 18 carries or something for like 28 yards or something. It was like it was unbelievably stupid low. It was like 1.2 yards a carry, and so they're going to feed him the ball again, and Jamal Williams is going to put up 100 yards. And wouldn't be shocked to see Jamal Williams have one of those 3 touchdown games. Or let's pull that back. Let's give J. Will 2 touchdowns. We'll give Olave 1, and we'll give Rashid Shaheed another touchdown on some gadgety play. But again, Shaheed, they're trying to pull away. They don't want him to be a gadgety guy. They want him to be a legit NFL wide receiver. And I think this New Orleans offense starts to blossom slowly, and it's going to start against Carolina in Carolina this week. So heck yeah, give me New Orleans -3. I would even be happy. Call me crazy. I know 10 points is in college football, it's nothing, but you see -42 point spreads. But in the NFL, my dad told me really at a really young age, anything double digits in the NFL really makes you turn your head, and it's like -10, -14.
Yep.
That rarely happens.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be opposed to teasing New Orleans -10 and them still covering in this one against Carolina. Just Carolina completely folding, down the stretch, meaning like late in the third quarter, shit, right after halftime. Who knows?
Yeah, I love that as an alternate bet. Like, change that line, move that up. I actually love that. Jamal Williams was 18 carries for 45 yards against Carolina. Excuse me. Olave had a big game, 8 for 112. Shaheed had 5 for 89 and a touchdown. He also had 2 carries for 11 yards. So, yeah, give me the Saints offense. They moved the ball. They just didn't get the ball in the end zone. So they were actually a team that could move the ball. They looked good. They just couldn't finish off drives. I think they finished them off against Carolina. I love that bet from you. I'm jumping there. I'm going to jump into quickly before I throw some player props. I let my JT parlay play of the day of the games we just mentioned. Here's what I'm doing. Again, this will be at JT Orange on X. So jump on there if you want to look it up. This is my bet. I'm taking Chargers -3 at +100. I'm taking Bills -6.5 at -150. Niners -6.5 at -125. The Saints -3 at -106. Steelers +3.5 at -158. I'm putting all those together. 5-pick parlay, 1 unit, 1,804 on FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you put it in today, you're way better off because it was about 300 less last night, and a couple of the lines slightly moved this morning. So I'm adjusting a bunch of those lines, and that's what I like. I'm giving myself the cover. I think the Niners, Bills cover easy, but I'm getting myself the touchdown just in case. Saints, I think, cover easy, but I'm getting the -3. Chargers the same way. I think they win by double digits. I'm getting them the -3, and I'm probably going to put an alternate, like you just said. I'm probably going to throw an alternate with some of these teams at about 8 or 9 or 10 and get myself a crazy one, throw about $10 in it for about +3 or 4,000. I'm going to look that up. I'll post that also on my X page. But I love what your head's at on some of these games. I do think some of these are double-digit wins. I like some alternates on that. So that's kind of my JT parlay play of the day for Sunday. Give me anything we haven't talked about, DFS-wise, picks, anything you love, over-under player props, anything you got to kind of hit people up here in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, unless there's something about, I didn't know how to say it. I didn't want to shoehorn it in there, but there's something about this Green Bay Packers at Atlanta game that I love, and I can't put my finger on it just yet, because as we look at this thing, it's Green Bay plus 1.5, Atlanta's minus that 1.5, and right now the Packers are the underdog. The Packers their money line is plus 100, and I would assume, I personally, I like Atlanta to win, but I was assuming that Atlanta was going to be plus money. But now that it looks like Green Bay's I don't know what I want to do in this game. There's definitely something's going to come down later this week that I'm going to like about this game. Is it a Kyle Pitts 2-touchdown game? Is it a Bijan Robinson 2-touchdown game? Or is it just a Desmond Ridder over passing yardage prop, something like that? And so maybe I should have planned better about this game, but this one just hit me on a whim. So I just speaking it as it's hitting me here. As we go down, you talked about the Raiders and the Bills and the Chargers in Tennessee. When you look at the Colts right now, they're playing Houston. The Colts have had kind of an odd start to the season with JT saying, no, I don't want to play. And then they put him on IR. And then Deion Jackson is the running back. And he looked like dog shit. Excuse my language. He looked like dog
100%.
crap. He looked like dog crap, but you know who didn't look like dog crap? Their rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson. So anytime touchdown scorer on the ground, that's plus 180. You can get him to scoring a touchdown on the ground at plus 180. Give me that all day. I like Nico Collins to score a touchdown in this game as well. That is plus 300. And these are all FanDuel, prizes and picks and stuff like that. And so, some of these games, I've always been, I don't know. Everybody wants to go to the flashy, the sexy games, right? And I'm digging in on the Colts and in Houston. Let's stop at Baltimore is playing Cincinnati, right? And these two teams hate each other. They've been in the same division. These two teams just the hatred is real, right? And when you look at what Cincinnati did not do last week, Joe Burrow, I don't even think he got to 100 yards passing. And people, that was the battle for Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. It was the Browns beat Cincinnati,
Absolutely.
and it was like, oh my God, nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw Cleveland beating Cincinnati, especially Burrow after signing that massive contract. So how are they going to react, or how is Joe Burrow going to react now at home against Baltimore, against another quarterback who got paid and was going to sit out, and everybody was a huge deal? This game to me might be the most favorite game of the Sunday for me, and it's a 1 p.m. kickoff. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Over-unders at 46.5 points. Baltimore is getting 3 on the road in this one. I'm going to take a lot of the overs in this one. When we look at this one, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, I think T. Higgins, talk about a bounce back. In seasonal formats, everybody's already selling off T. Higgins. Like, he didn't do anything last week, and they're selling. So if you can, in seasonal formats, if you can get T. Higgins for free, then grab him. I know this is a sports betting show. I love this game, and there's a lot to like it. And when we look at this one, as I said, the over-under is 46.5. When you open up the app here and you look at some of the things, the best parlay I can get out of this game would be the Bengals total points over 24, Jamar Chase anytime touchdown, T. Higgins anytime touchdown, and a Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown. That one will get you, it's at like plus 1382, something like that. So you're looking at Bengals over 24.5 points, Chase, T. Higgins anytime touchdown, and then Lamar Jackson scoring a touchdown on the ground as well.
Yeah, I love where you're at on those. A couple FanDuel player props that I kind of just looked up that I thought were kind of cool, different ones. You talk about Joe Burrow bouncing back. They have a Joe Burrow, Josh Allen combo. Both players go over 259.5 passing yards. Both are minus 114 on FanDuel right now. So obviously those numbers are a little lower than they usually be for those guys. I love both those guys on a bounce back to go over that. Talking about the Colts Houston game, one I love, they have CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson combined for plus 500 is plus 700 on FanDuel right now. I love that. I think Anthony Richardson could hit some bombs in this game. The Colts have historically smoked the Texans. Other than last year, they've owned the Texans at Texas. T.Y. Hilton has just killed them in the long game. I think it's Alex Pierce's turn. Alex Pierce got nothing last week. The Jags played a mile off him the entire game. I think they're going to figure out how to get some deep balls in there. I'm loving this. 500 combined yards between them at plus 700. I love it. And another one I found out there that kind of sneaky bet, TJ Watt for the Steelers, plus 3 sacks against the Browns, plus 550 on FanDuel. Now, plus 3 sacks is a ton. We know he had a great game last week, but man, the guy can absolutely play, and I could see him getting in this mix, and I could see it happening. So for plus 550, I'm going to throw a little scratch on that on the plus 550. I think it'd be interesting. For me, going back to the Packers-Falcons game you brought up, the big hold up for me right now is Quay Walker going to play, and is Aaron Jones going to play? I think, to me, that's where people are nervous and taking the Falcons. I think that's where the Falcons are minus 1.5 right now. If not, I think this would be a Packers favorite. So if you like the Packers and think those guys are going to play, you might want to jump on them while they're the dog, because I think if Aaron Jones plays this game, I think Quay plays this game, I think it's a different story. If they don't play, I think the Falcons can muck it up enough to make it a low-scoring game, and maybe they pull out, a 13-10, 17-14 type of game.
Yes. I have one more. It just hit me like a ton of bricks, right? And to go along with seasonal formats. I know it's a betting show, but to keep the attention of the dynasty players and everything. This kid in LA, I don't want to chop up his name. I know how you pronounce it. It's Puka Nakua. He led the team in targets and receptions and yardage. You can get him as the first touchdown scorer. Granted, LA is playing San Francisco, and their defense is unbelievably good. So is their offense. But let's run it down. Let's say Puka is the first touchdown scorer of the game. You can get that one for plus 1,700. I mean, why not? If we're going to have some fun, I know he was the number 1 overall waiver wire ad. He was the darling of week 1 coming out of nowhere after Kelly Stafford. My husband's having a tough time connecting with all the young kids. Well, he sure didn't look like it in week 1. So let's run it back. And let's put $10 that Puka's the first touchdown score, and at plus 1,700, at plus 1,700, it's going to be awesome. And then we can use that later on in the day. Well, however you want to do it. Give me Puka to score the first touchdown in that game. The Rams are playing San Francisco.
Yeah, I love that call as a first game touchdown. I love it.
Just for the hell of
it. Fantastic.
Couple bucks.
Yeah, why not? I'm one of those. Me and my friends, we like to get together. We got a little text group where all of us will throw one first touchdown in a game, and we'll all play it. 4 or 5 of us will all throw one in. We put it together, $10 to win. 2,000. You gotta love it. So I'm all about throwing those Hail Mary first touchdown scores in. So I love that one. That one's one I'm going to have to look at this week. I know you are short on time. We've tried to race through this, get as much in as we can. Detroit Beastie, my boy Beastie from Detroit. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find all your good content, all your DFS stuff.
Yes, you can. Well, my Twitter name's right there at Detroit Beastie. I'm now with fantasy6pack.net now. I've switched alliances. They wooed me. They wined and dined me. I'm there now. I just finished my first week there of content. But let's not forget tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, is going to be outstanding. The video is out now. I'm feverishly switching through the pages of
check
notes
that out, guys. Get on
Minnesota
there and check
is
that
at
out.
Philly.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it's on YouTube right now. It's pinned on my page. I go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I normally share my notes, my notepad about an hour before kickoff. And as you can see, some people go, I don't know. It's like, might as well be like Chinese, but it makes sense to me. And there's a lot to like in this game. So make sure you watch the video. I won't give you the final score here. I'll give you the final score in the video. And my bottom of the barrel article, still running backs, quarterbacks. Those are yet to be released and published yet. The quarterback article is out, working on running backs, wide receivers. Notes are done. I just need to do the legwork and type that stuff up. But everything this season will be at Fantasy Six Pack. I thank them for letting me jump on board and kind of bolster their DFS and sports betting side of things. And again, best way to reach me, I'll always answer any DM I've ever gotten. I've always replied back at Detroit Beastie on Twitter.
Thank you, Chris, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Super fun show. All kinds of good information for people wanting to bet this weekend. Be sure to check me out at JT Orange on the X. Check out the dynastyprosfootball.com for all your information. Ton of articles up there. check out the YouTube channel where you can find this betting show plus plenty of others. My college betting show will be released later tonight. Also, if you're an IDP guy, I always got to throw out there, check out DLF, my IDP rankings, and my IDP article that comes out every Wednesday on fantrax.com. Again, thanks, Chris, for joining us. You guys been listening to The Stew with JT Brew. I'm JT, your host. May the trading never quit, and may your draft picks always hit. Check you guys next time.
You up on trades and why you move? You ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release. We started with the mock draft.